Welcome back into the Sean podcast. It's good to see you. Good to see everyone. Been one of them days, long, drawn out. But hey, had to get back to get you that content. That unfiltered, unadulterated, censored content. Because, we don't get into, all that cussing. We leave that to certain other people who have no clue what they're talking about. Yes, I took another shot. But before we get into everything, Sean, how about you introduce yourself?
I am Sean C, and as you know, that C stands for Cat Daddy. It is good to be back. It's good to be talking about football, and we are glad that you're watching us. We're glad that you're listening to us. We appreciate you appreciating our amateur opinions.
And it is, with that said, I'm just going to jump right into things.
Let's go.
So let's rock and roll. This episode, just letting everybody know, we're doing a new format. Probably gonna produce several different episodes a week. Or maybe filming them all at the same time, but you don't need to know that.
They're gonna see the same gear, right? They're gonna see the same gear.
I know.
So, I don't got time for a wardrobe change, right? We're just recording.
Gonna do a little shave. Anyways, so this one is basically the news. We're gonna give you updated stuff on things like that. Our first bit of news is a little bit of a Debbie Downer. Man, I feel bad for Debbie. How'd Debbie get that moniker as a downer? But Sean, tell about our downer news for the first one. What's this team out there?
Downer news 1A belonged to the Indianapolis Colts. They just traded for a franchise quarterback in the offseason. They traded for Carson Wentz, but he has undergone surgery to repair a bone in his foot that is going to sideline him for 5 weeks, maybe 12 weeks, maybe somewhere in the middle. So Carson Wentz is going to be out for a little while, so you're thinking Jacob Eason's going to be in control. You really just want him to be in there for the preseason games, right?
Jacob who?
Exactly. He went to Georgia.
Yeah, but he transferred.
He sure did. But back to Carson Wentz, you're thinking he's going to be out for 5 weeks. You're going to miss maybe that first game of the season. You're going to be out for 12 weeks. You're thinking, man, you're going to miss the first 7, maybe 8 games of the year. You're not coming back till the end of October, beginning of November. Now, could the Colts do well with Jacob Eason or another quarterback in there if they so desire trading for a second quarterback in a few months span?
Hold on, did you hear about the other thing?
What other thing?
Who's talking about trading? There's a certain quarterback familiar with the Colts playbook that while he was coaching high school said, something? I haven't ruled out going back to the NFL.
Ooh, you mean Phillip Rivers?
Oh, yes, I do.
Yes. Yeah, well, Phillip Rivers also said that it would be a couple of months. So you're thinking he's not going to come back until October, November, December, when Carson Wentz would already be back. And then but
then he get injured again.
Yeah. Womp womp. Sorry, Colts fans. This is Debbie Downer news for you. If you're if you're a fan of any other AFC South team, you're probably happy about this.
Not to rile up the Colts fans out there, but they're talking about this injury being an old injury from high school. First part, what happened during this COVID year where all these NFL players have these pre-existing injuries that they've just been dealing with, i.e., I'm a Cowboys fan, so Tyron Smith apparently has been playing at an all-pro level with a use of only one arm. The arm that he has that big old knee brace on because his arms are that big, apparently has had an issue that he had to get it corrected with surgery, which he just recently did. So, he played his whole NFL career with the use of one arm at an all-pro level. That's nuts. But Carson Wentz, apparently since high school has had this broken bone in his foot. And they didn't catch it as high school. Fair enough, that's high school. Then they didn't catch it at North Dakota State. I mean, fair enough, that's North Dakota State, no offense. Then they didn't catch it at the combine. Again, you should catch it at the combine, but again, you know, they do stupid stuff at the combine, so whatever. Then, all the teams he visited, including my Dallas Cowboys, did not catch it. Maybe they weren't looking for it. Or maybe that's why everybody was like, you know something, not worth it to trade up. Then Philly didn't catch it. They traded for him. They went through, gave him a huge contract, not knowing about it, apparently. And then all of a sudden, go to trade. Colts don't catch it on the trade aspect, on that physical. And then finally, during training camp, they catch it.
Now, is it a matter of they didn't catch it, they didn't see it, or they saw it, but they thought it was such a low risk that it wasn't worth being concerned about?
Well, we're being concerned about now.
Sure is. Broken bone in the foot. He's getting surgery to get that fixed. He'll have to go through rehab. He could miss between 5 and 12 weeks, which I think is just an absurd time frame for an injury.
Speaking of 5 to 12 weeks.
Bad news 1B for the Indianapolis Colts. You know, you're thinking Carson Wentz is out. Jacob Eason can step in. Maybe another quarterback. There's a third-string quarterback in Chicago.
You got this offensive line that is fantastic.
I think his name is like Large Richard Nicholas, something like that. You think, you know, he's could come back, you know, reunite with Frank Reich. You're thinking, you know, they could pull it off if it's just a quarterback thing. You can have a short-term solution at quarterback. But, man, what really killed it for me, Quentin Nelson, all-pro left guard, arguably the best interior offensive lineman in the game, one of the best overall offensive linemen in the game. He suffered the same foot injury as Carson Wentz. Now, we're not sure how long he's had this injury, but you're thinking you have two of the nearly exact same injury back-to-back days is almost what it's sounding like. What is going on in Indianapolis now with Quentin Nelson out for the same absurdly wild 5 to 12 week time frame? You're thinking you might be able to get by filling in for quarterback if the rest of your team is in place and intact, but you take out your best offensive lineman, it's just looking worse for you. It's looking worse. And you know who else it looks worse for? This guy, because I picked the Colts to go to the playoffs. And man, they are making me look bad. And you know what? Who else is going to look bad for this? The Philadelphia Eagles. Because if you remember when the Colts traded for Carson Wentz, they had given up a conditional draft pick. The conditions were if the Colts went to the playoffs, or if Carson Wentz played, I think it was 75% or more of the snaps, Philadelphia receives a first-round draft pick. Now, if Carson Wentz is going to be out for that 12-week time frame, there's no way that he's going to make that snap threshold to make it a first-round pick for the Eagles. So the Eagles are really hoping that whatever the Colts do gets them to the playoffs. Because if the Colts don't go to the playoffs and Carson Wentz doesn't play 75% or more of the snaps, Philadelphia gets stuck with the second-round draft pick. And I can only imagine they were really hoping and really counting on 2 first-round draft picks this year.
Speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, you're going there, aren't you? You're going there.
Speaking of bad news.
You're going there.
Hey.
It's news. It's news. I'll give it to you. Fine. Go. Just say it.
The Heisman winning Devonta Smith did suffer a little setback at training camp. You know, go ahead. I'll let you speak on it. That's your boy.
I'm glad that you put the respect on his name that it deserves. I'm glad. Thank you for doing that.
He is still small.
Okay. Right. We'll come back to this. We'll come back to this.
What facts did I not say?
You know, It's just the disrespectful tone that you said these facts with. Right, and you know it because you did it on purpose, and I can't blame you. All the people have to do is go back and listen to some of our first podcasts, and they'll be able to see.
To get a rise out of you, just a little tiny rise out of you.
We do long-term story. WWE does.
Yeah, and we
yes.
But we don't let go of our talent just like, woo!
Back to Devontae Smith. Yes, he is going to be out for about 2 to 3 weeks. I think it was an MCL injury that he suffered, which is going to be a lot quicker to come back than bone surgery in the foot. So up until this point, it was positive news from Devontae Smith in Philadelphia, doing well in the training camps. He was first up in all those wide receiver drills, so he was showing some leadership. He's going first up, better than Jalen Reagor did. Shots
it should
fired.
be,
yeah.
It should be, but let's be honest here. No one's ever accused him of not being a worker. No one said that he wasn't a great route runner. He is a great route runner. And to be fair, in that wide receiver room, he is the best wide receiver on Philly. I'll give him that. He's still small.
We'll see how he plays. We'll see how he plays.
I'm sure he'll be awesome. I'm not knocking him. I really am not. He's going to be the best receiver on Philly. It's just I do worry about certain situations, which as long as Philly keeps him out of those situations, he'll be a stud. Don't let him get jammed at the line of scrimmage. He does not have the beef to deal with being jammed at the line of scrimmage. It's the truth.
It is. He won't be the first one to get around that. Don't worry. He won't be the first.
Knew that. Watch any of those Bama games. Majority of the time, Devonta Smith is on the run. Guess who's the one getting jammed at the line of scrimmage, which we will talk about at a later pod, and taking that attention away from Devonta Smith so he can get into that space. Oh, it's a guy that, from what I hear, not to share spoilers, someone might not have on his top 5 summer scouting list, but we'll get to that. That's just a tease.
We'll see. You have to tune in next week to our college scouting edition to find out who I may or may not be including in my top 5 wide receivers. But that's as far as we're going. We're going to hush and keep that one under wraps until next week. So we got a tease for you. You got to come back next week to find out who it was. But back to Devontae Smith. You're thinking 2 to 3 weeks, not a long time. That's correct. But this is 2 to 3 weeks of a rookie missing training camp and missing snaps with the first team offense. That's big. That can be big.
Again, though, to be fair, look at that wide receiver room. Just saying.
He misses 2 to 3 weeks. He'll still be better than Jalen Reagor. He's better than Jalen Reagor right now, being injured. Pew, pew.
Taking shots at Reagor.
Well, I had to pick up. You weren't doing it recently, so I had to throw some in there.
I already put my Reagor shade on out there. Let's see. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Reagor, Brandon Ayuk, Jalen Reagor. Enough said. Let's move on to another dysfunctional franchise, also in the NFC East. The Giants. Looks like they got some bad injury news themselves.
Oh, yeah. In practice,
this one could linger.
Yeah. Kenny Galladay recently signed. Kenny Galladay was like a 4-year, $72 million something. Really, man, he got paid. He deserved it based on his performance, but neither here nor there.
Not last year.
Yeah, last year was tough. Comes up a little bit lame in practice. Grabbing his hamstring after a play, ends up going off the field. So now we're thinking, Kenny Galladay looking at a hamstring injury. Now, we don't know a lot of details right now. More to come.
But them soft tissue, man.
Ooh, yeah.
They linger.
Oh yeah, I mean,
And I mean,
an example of that's Will Fuller, right? He had hamstring injuries and he constantly missed games.
well, and then look back to last year. How many games did Kenny Galladay actually play in?
Ooh, I'm gonna find that. Hold on.
It wasn't many. I think he played in like 6.
Really?
He was injured for a good amount of the year. Hold on. I'll look it up. Let me let the producers know what we need.
Wow, done. I think it was only 5. Yeah, 5 games.
I was close.
You
I
were
told
close,
you.
yeah. I thought he played a little bit more than that, but no, he was
No.
down to 5 games.
Injured throughout that last season.
Ooh,
So
and
I mean,
starting wrong in New York, but that's not the only thing wrong with New York at the moment.
well, I mean, we'll get to the really wrong thing. Well, no. This is the really wrong thing, but there's another really wrong thing. Good Lord, New York, you're a mess. But are these grown men, or these kids? Are these high school kids?
They should be grown men. Should.
Well, why are they running from mental mistakes?
Joe Judge is really going back to basics here.
Basics.
Really going back to basics, right? Go back to those fundamentals, those building blocks. He's going all the way back.
And they really had to run recently, because they kind of had a brawl, and in the mix of said brawl, who was at the bottom of the pile?
The person you don't want there, the person that you consider your franchise quarterback, Daniel Jones,
Starting quarterback
at the bottom of the pile. Nope. Joe Judge, not happy, lined him up. They did 100-yard gassers, end zone to end zone. I think they were doing push-ups afterwards, too. So,
Oh, Lord.
yeah.
What is going on?
Joe Judge is feeling the pressure, and he's tired because you're thinking, if Joe Judge has another bad season, right? You're thinking, if the Giants go 4-13, maybe 5-12, does Joe Judge come back next year?
Does someone who apparently makes good friends with front offices take over that job?
He could. He could.
I mean, I'm just gonna say it. The Giants are like Porkies without the fun stuff. Just saying, it's like it's all the nonsense without like all the stuff you want to see in the movie.
Yeah, they got a lot of nonsense going on. That's a good way to put it.
All right, now to go positive. And yes, I'm going to get on a little Cowboys soapbox for a minute. And yes, I know Dak has a pulled muscle in his shoulder. He'll be just fine, people. That ankle's good coming back. He'll be okay. We are in August. The beginning of August. It ain't September yet. But, all that being said, there's some cool stuff going on. CeeDee Lamb looks like a bona fide stud. So, I mean, living up to the top billing in that wide receiver class last year, him and Justin Jefferson picking up where they left off. Beautiful thing. You'd love to see it. Making plays every day. Even with the backup quarterbacks. Woo. Then, Randy Gregory. I love the progression here. This is what you want to see. This is the stuff we want to see in professional sports. We want to see people who are like us make it. And Randy Gregory dealing with mental health issues, then dealing with addiction on top of the mental health issues. Well, the addiction was a result of trying to cope with his mental health issues. Coming out the other side, he's just voted to the leadership council. He's looked awesome during camp. He's got he's still got a ways to go, but this is what we want to see. This is what people love, those success stories. And then just to let the fantasy people know out there, Mari Cooper has been a stud, playing at 225 the last couple of years. You shouldn't be that fast at 225. That's nuts. But he just slimmed down to 15. He wants to play at 210. He wants to get faster. So, Watch out. I'm just saying. Watch out. Sean, how about we segue to that great North in the Midwest there?
To the Midwest. Ooh. All right. Well, you're going to like this. And the reason you are going to like this is because this is an off season where the drama is not focused around Texas and the Dallas
right.
Cowboys, right?
Oh, there's drama in Texas.
Hey,
just
hey,
not
hey!
in Dallas.
You just said earlier that we're having a clean podcast and stuff. Come on, come on,
I
come on. My mom is probably listening to this. All right, come on.
Just saying. I wasn't gonna say what he did. I wasn't gonna say what was going on. I just said there's drama in Texas.
There
We're
is
not talking
drama.
about what type.
But the Cowboys will be happy that now pretty much the drama for the entire football year is going to shift to Green Bay. Of all places that you would never expect there to be drama, Green Bay.
Let me break this real quick. This offseason has been so long. There's so much that's happened this offseason. The other day, I'm looking up at the NFL Network or something along, and I'm seeing Russell Wilson, and I'm like, oh my God, I forgot there were rumors of Russell Wilson being traded because so much has happened.
Yeah, wow. He didn't ask for the trade, but his agent was exploring trade. Yeah. But now everything's good in Seattle. Yeah, really
It's
long.
wacky. But get to the real drama.
The real drama is Aaron Rodgers versus the front office. Front office versus Aaron Rodgers. You know, here we are. Rodgers reported to training camp. Great. First press conference with the team, you know, first time in front of media. Throwing management under the bus for the way they've treated the veterans over, the last 5-10 years?
No. I got a question for you, considering a pod that we used to do. Which had more like craziness to it? Aaron Rodgers' press conference or the pipe bomb promo?
Aaron Rodgers had the equivalent of CM Punk's pipe bomb. Yeah. That's what it was. He, just talked about how veterans were disrespected on the way out of Green Bay, and he went off. He named 12 of them, right?
Like he was honest.
Which is refreshing in a sense, because as fans, all we see is what the teams allow us to see. We don't see the interaction between the front office and the team. We don't see how that looks. But the players have that whole behind the scenes. They're sitting there daily. They're sharing that locker room with these players.
Or we see someone like Des Bryant or T.O. who's like extremely disgruntled.
Yeah.
And we look at them like, you guys are irrational. Like, you guys are making millions of dollars you didn't put in your work. You know, Aaron Rodgers came out. He was extremely articulate. He wasn't mad. He made jokes.
He was mad.
But he didn't show it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
his emotions didn't get the best of him when he was talking.
Exactly.
It was all of his words were planned. All of his words were calculated. He wanted it to come out the exact way that it came out. Right?
You know, and
he
wasn't
delivered
passive
it well.
aggressive. He wasn't passive aggressive. Let's say a Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb might have had gripes when Philly let him traded him and stuff like that. But Donovan McNabb's so passive aggressive, he comes across as unlikable. Rodgers actually made you like him during the press conference. He made jokes.
If you liked Rodgers before, you like him even more now. If you didn't like Rodgers before, you like him even less now.
I disagree. I think some people...
Because everybody who
swayed.
thought that Aaron Rodgers was a prima donna, right? You have one of the best offensive linemen. You have the best wide receiver. You have all-pro running back. You have all these tools. You still can't win. They think he's crying. They think he's complaining about it. But for him, it's all about respect. That's what it comes down to. It comes down to respect that in this whole situation could have been avoided in an easy way from management. Very easy way. All they had to do before that 2020 draft. Now, do they need Aaron Rodgers' blessing for all draft picks? No. Do they need his blessing for any draft pick?
No.
No. But being the franchise cornerstone, you would think they not owe it to him, but they should have said something to him along the lines of, we're going to do our best in this draft. If we can, we're going to draft a receiver. We're going to try and draft a tackle. Like, that's what we're going to focus on. But there's this quarterback that we really like. Nothing against you. You're the franchise quarterback. You are our guy. You're going to lead us to playoffs again. But if this guy falls to us, we're going to take him. It's nothing against you. But if he's the best available and he comes to us, we're going to take him. That conversation didn't happen. Aaron Rodgers found out about Jordan Love being drafted as Jordan Love was being drafted. So he saw on TV like the rest of the world did. Now,
right.
as
as
a franchise quarterback, you're thinking, I don't even have the respect, the decency for you to come out and tell me that you're just going to draft quarterback. Getting a heads up, even if it's a couple of minutes before the pick, is a lot better than finding out about it, watching TV, or I can imagine Aaron Rodgers wasn't even watching the draft, and people just started calling him and messaging him saying, hey, how do you feel about this Jordan Love pick? And he's probably like, well, I have no idea.
Who?
Right. So all of it could have been avoided. Is Aaron Rodgers at fault? I'm going to say yes, because he could have spoken up sooner.
Well, but also, though, I mean, no. We'll get into that another time. That's what it is. But I just don't understand, like the passive aggressiveness that the front office is taking with the Randall Cobb thing.
Ooh.
Here, you got two elements here. Is Randall Cobb still good? Yes. Is he worth that money? No. But will the Packers benefit from trading for him? Yes.
I agree with that. I agree. If you look back over the years, you identify where the targets are going on offense. Aaron Rodgers throws to the players that he trusts. Last year it was Davante Adams and it was Robert Tonyan. Those are the two big targets. Those are the two people he trusts the most. That's why he gets bothered when players like Randall Cobb are out of town, when Jordy Nelson's gone.
Well, no.
Because he built that trust with them.
No. It's not just Randall Cobb going out of town. The deal that Cobb signed with Dallas when he left Green Bay was next to nothing. It was peanuts. It was a $5 million for 1 year. Peanuts. You tell me Green Bay didn't have $5 million to give to Randall Cobb?
They had it, but they wanted to push the talent that was on their roster. The concept is there. You want to push the younger talent to elevate, perform better, perform well. If there's an aging veteran, getting rid of them. But this isn't Madden, right? That's a strategy I take in Madden. My free agent, my guy in his last year of his contract is in his 30s, and I'm like, well, let me try and trade him for a draft pick, get rid of him to cut that cap space out. That's a Madden thing. But this is the pros. There's a whole different dynamic to it. There's people involved. It's
True.
Completely different. And for Aaron Rodgers, trust is a big thing. What was it, 2017 or 18 when they drafted the 3 wide receivers? St. Brown, it was Valdez Scantling, it was Jamon Moore. When they drafted those 3, they didn't see targets very often their first year, 2 years in the league. They hadn't built up that level of trust. And I think that's why Aaron Rodgers gets so bothered when Jake Kumerow's gone from the team, someone who he's built that trust with. Randall Cobb's gone. Jordan Nelson's gone.
And then you add A.J. Dillon, who, let's be honest, they could have drafted a 4th round running back if they were going to pay Aaron Jones, or a 5th round running back. And at the time, you got a Brian Edwards, who had a lot of potential, or Devin Duvernay, which would have been a very nice compliment to Davante Adams. I'm just saying that quick underneath stuff, Devin Duvernay could have done that in spades.
Yep.
But
These last 2 years of the drafting for Green Bay is.
hey, what do I know?
You already know.
I'm working out of my basement.
Yeah, we're
I don't
amateurs
really have a
here,
basement,
folks.
people.
Right? We're
I
amateurs.
don't have a basement. Anyways, Sean might have a basement. I don't know.
No, I got a basement. No.
So we're not that creepy, people.
Nope,
We
not
don't
yet.
have one. We don't have a Scooby Doo van either. Anyways, moving on. Let's get to some of the fun stuff. The rookie quarterbacks.
Ooh,
So we'll get to the good.
Yes.
So Justin Fields, heard a lot of good stuff coming out of Bears camp, and it's not just his play. Hey, looking at you, Chris Sims. Oh yes, I name dropped that mother person. I had to contain myself there because I'm sorry. I heard a lot of hatred. I got a Buckeye fan friend, Matt. Yeah, him every day. He's like, "What's this Chris Sims guy talking about?" Man, probably drove him to drink a little bit, but it's not just the play on the field. He's actually showing up with leadership. Just ask Louis Riddick. Oh, name dropping again. Just saying. Green Bay better watch out for future years. Just if Aaron Rodgers isn't there in the future.
I wouldn't count on Aaron Rodgers being there beyond this season. At this moment, even if the Packers win the Super Bowl, I have a hard time seeing Aaron Rodgers returning to Green Bay. That's where I think that relationship is at this point. Now, it's still early. We haven't even gotten to the regular season yet. Could a lot change? It could. It could. But, man, you're thinking once you feel disrespected like that, you can't let that go. It's hard.
And teams otherwise will want you.
Mm-hmm. You want to go somewhere you're appreciated, valued, yeah.
Another team with a rookie quarterback who's shining. How about the San Francisco 49ers?
Ooh, hearing
Trey
some
Lance.
things, yeah.
Taking snaps with the ones, throwing like an 80-yard touchdown while you did that. I don't know, Jimmy G. What you gonna do, Garoppolo?
Now at the same time, Kyle Shanahan has been saying that this is the best that Jimmy Garoppolo has looked since he's been with the 49ers. So you're thinking, man, maybe this trade up to number 3 for San Francisco, right? Maybe that did some good. Maybe that really got that competitive juice going.
Or depending on how good Lance looks, you have a Philly situation. What do I mean by a Philly situation? Which will be funny considering the quarterback I'm talking about. Or no, the quarterback that I'm talking about that's going to get shafted by this. Maybe Jimmy G looks good. And maybe Trey Lance looks really good. And then, Indy is like, something? We can't depend on Carson Wentz. And that Jacob Eason guy, he ain't it. And they trade a fairly substantial pick to get Jimmy G. And I know they just traded a pick they're going to probably lose that second round pick for Carson Wentz. And that's not good team building. Well, you know what else isn't good? Losing when you have a win-ready team right now. Just saying.
Yeah, that puts a lot of pressure on you. Indianapolis, they're in a position to win now, go to the playoffs. You think in the AFC South isn't the strongest division. You have no competition really from Jacksonville or the Houston Texans. You're really fighting the Tennessee Titans for the division, but you can still sneak into the playoffs, right? There's 3 wildcard teams now. You still have a chance to get in.
No competition from Jacksonville, you say? Well, no. There's another rookie quarterback that's been looking good. His name is Trevor Lawrence.
He should be looking good.
Passes to Tim Tebow. But on the real, apparently Trevor Lawrence has looked really good in camp. And like you said, he should. He's Trevor frickin' Lawrence. Mm-hmm. He's football Jesus. I'm the one with the jokes, people. I mean, if you laugh, you laugh. So, I mean, don't count Jacksonville out. People have counted Urban
I kind of
Meyer out.
already have. I have.
Regardless of the ridiculous that goes on with Urban Meyer, people count Urban Meyer out everywhere he goes. And what happens everywhere Urban Meyer goes?
All he does is win, no
All
matter
he does
what.
is win. DJ Khaled. Just saying. That should be his anthem. I'm serious.
Yeah. Utah, Bowling Green, Utah, Florida, Ohio State, and now he's in Jacksonville. Yeah.
Yeah. And he beat Bama. No, they didn't just beat Bama. They beat the rocks off Bama. Anyways, moving on to our last part of this segment. I know we're going a little long on the news. Quinn Ewers? Ewers. So Quinn Ewers is changing the game.
Woohoo! Oh, baby, he's changing the game.
Quinn Ewers is. Quinn Ewers, he's a high school kid out of Texas. I'm just looking at my producer, find out exactly where. All right, South Lake, Texas is where he is. All right, so basically, he is foregoing his senior year to go to Ohio State. Why, you ask? He graduated early. That's how. But Texas, he's not allowed to make money on his NIL. But in Ohio, he can. Sean, how about you educate the people on what NIL means?
Name, image, and likeness. A lot of times you're thinking of NIL, you're thinking video games, right? If NCAA comes back with the video game, they're putting all those players in there. And if you've played those games before, they always had the quarterback with the same number as the real starting quarterback, the attributes as the real starting quarterback. That would allow these players like Quinn Ewers to be compensated for the use of his name, image, or likeness. And that's just a small scope of video games. It goes well beyond that. But now,
well, for example,
he has a chance to make money.
For example, how many jerseys do you think Ohio State will sell with his number or his name on it?
Does Ohio State do the names in the back of the jersey?
I'm not sure. Let me see.
Yeah, we need to double check that. I'm not sure
I know USC is one of the ones that doesn't.
It might be hard for him to make money on the sales of jerseys if they don't have the names. That might be challenging, but we're not experts here, and the whole student athlete being able to make money on the NIL is very new.
Maybe teams will start putting it out there.
Yo, that'd be a good idea. If they want to.
Oh, they do.
Ooh.
They do. Oh, they have the names on them.
Will they this year? Will they moving forward? We'll see. We'll see. Right. But
but what I mean by this changes the game. There's going to be new rules that have to be implemented.
Mm-hmm.
Then we talked about this through text.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, are you just going to allow a student who's awesome at football? Let's say it's the next Adrian Peterson. Because Adrian Peterson came out of high school, grown-ass man. And are you just going to allow someone like that their sophomore year looking like they, fathered 5 children to get their GED and just go straight into college?
Yeah.
Or, like we were talking about, make one of the prefaces that you have to have a high school diploma. So you have to, you have to do a huge workload and, get stuff done. And, that's how you can get into college early.
If I'm a college, that's the way I'm looking at it. If I'm a university, that's the way I'm looking at it, because these individuals are student athletes, and the title is that way on purpose. It's student first, then athlete second. Now, of course, they want to be compensated for name, image, likeness. I get it. The easiest way, make it a requirement that the individual has to have a high school diploma. Now, for Quinn Ewers, I think he was just maybe 1-2 classes away from graduating. So he could easily get
No,
that.
he just needed English.
Yeah.
He just needed English.
And there you go. He was so close to the graduation requirements that it made more sense for him to just take that class now, skip his senior season, go to Ohio State, fight for a starting job. He is likely going to start games, plural, this year for Ohio State. How soon?
Right.
To be determined, but you're thinking he's going to go there. He's going to start right away. A lot better than taking another year of high school for this kid.
Now, the next aspect of this is really interesting because me and you did not necessarily say eye to eye on this part.
No.
So, going into the NFL, because we got to think, this is not going to change. This is not going to make college kids want to do 4 years of college, 4 or 5 years of college and stay. They're going to want to leave after 3 years, in their junior year or their redshirt sophomore year. Like it has been happening. It's been happening at a greater rate every year. So you get kids going into college earlier and then going into the NFL earlier. Is the NFL going to sit these kids? Because you asked me the question, what's the difference in maturity between a 19-year-old and, let's say, a 21-year-old? I think there's a huge difference in maturity. You don't think so, and that's fair. There's also a huge difference in like body composition.
Looking at it in the context of if you go to college as a 17-year-old, you're thinking the requirement is you have to have 3 years in college before going pro.
Right.
So you're thinking 17, 18, 19, you're in college. Age 20, you enter the draft. You have 3 years of college, 3 years of practices, 3 years of games, depending on a redshirt or not.
True.
Now, if you go to college as an 18-year-old, so you're spending 18, 19, 20 there, you go into the pros as 21, that 1 year difference.
But what about the ones going into college possibly at 16? Considering where their birthday lies.
Oh, now that's going to be interesting.
Compared to someone going into college at 18.
That's going to be interesting. I'd like to see when that happens.
Right?
I think to your point earlier about underclassmen declaring for the draft earlier and sooner and more students doing that, I think this is going to change that. Your surefire first rounders, they're going to the draft no matter what, right? They're still going.
This is what I'm saying. Adrian Peterson, when he was a sophomore at Oklahoma, was he any less pro ready?
Hey, you could ask Maurice Claret the same thing, right? Back in the day, Ohio State.
No, you can't. Not the same talent. Not the same talent.
I know, but if you would have asked him, he would have
Mike
said,
Williams
yes,
of USC
I'm
also.
ready.
Mike Williams of USC also. But I would argue to say the kids that think the way they did at that time were not mature enough to do it. Guys like Peterson who are like, something, I'm pro ready right now, but I understand I have to do what I got to do. That's mature. That's maturity. And I know it's a case-by-case business, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult to recognize. Peyton Manning, when he was 18 in college, looked different than when he came out in the pros, and then looked different than when he was a 5-year pro.
Mm-hmm.
His body composition changed. And I'm just wondering, are some teams going to be scared to put someone out there who's 19 years old and hasn't built up in the weight room like they should? Maybe some teams are going to be like, something? Let's get them in our weight room. Let's get them in our strength and conditioning program. Let's get them NFL body ready before we throw them to the wolves.
Yeah, but I think the compensation for the student athletes, I think that's going to help some of the ones who would have been drafted second day. I think that's going to help some of them stay in college for
It's possible.
another year. So now you're going to have more upperclassmen going to the draft. That's what I see now. How it's going to play out, there's a lot that we don't know about this. There's a lot that's not decided. I think there should be some rules and regulations put on this. I don't know where they are as far as...
We're in uncharted territory.
Exactly. This is brand new. This is trial by fire, right? We're going to find out the hard way. And
All
we'll
right.
be here to give you our opinions of it the whole time. Don't
We'll
worry.
wrap this episode up. Sean, we just gonna have to come up with more words of wisdom every week. So, words of wisdom for the people.
Words of wisdom. Wear a helmet.
Any specific activity?
All. Yeah.
You go outside, wear that helmet, people. You never know what could have happened. Could have fallen debris.
Exactly.
All right, mine. Watch the people preparing their food. You never know what's going on in someone's day, and you don't want to have it be the one. Just saying.
In other words, don't go to restaurants. Eat at home.